Recording in progress.
Very technologically advanced.
Okay, we'll convene the Thursday, April 20th, 2023 meeting of the Landscape Committee. Do we have confirmation and proper notice?
Notice posted on the 5th according to statutory requirements.
All righty. Roll call, did you get them?
Yes, everybody's here that is here. Nobody's on Zoom. But we have Mr. Perry, Mr. Barron, Mr. Miller, Ms. Wolf, Mr. Kepowitz, Ms. Harder, and Ms. Marlette, along with the 3 owners and the staff of myself and Jeff. Quorum is established.
All right, I'll do a couple of comments after we do the minutes and the staff report, because there's a couple of things I want to address. Did everybody get a chance of reading the minutes from last month? Any deletions, exceptions, additions? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of last meeting, March 16th?
Second.
Okay.
All in favor? All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Jeff,
Yes, sir.
you're up.
We put 105 elephant ears behind 476 where the tree went down behind Evis. We put 234 irises up front in the Cortez Center Island, 79 impatiens in different flowering beds.
John, what would happen if you, yeah, let's try that.
We're still getting.
We're still getting that.
We're still getting, okay.
It's coming from your computer. I'm muted.
I think
Yeah, you muted for
I
what?
have it
for
hearing
you
loss. I don't know,
talking,
but it
but
sounds to me
you
like
got
it's
it
coming
right
from
off
out there
sound.
somewhere.
Yeah, I'm muted.
You got him.
Get your speaker.
Yeah.
I was thinking that exactly. That's pretty.
I'd like to turn that down.
How about if you put your volume all the way to 0?
I plugged back in, that's what.
That's okay. You're gonna have to be plugged.
This one too?
This one only? Oh,
Yeah,
maybe.
that-
Oh,
Can you take the sound all the way to 0?
Okay, yes, I can. How's that?
Yeah, my mouth coming out of those figures.
1, 2? 1, 2? Can anybody hear me on the speakers? Don't sound like.
No,
There's nobody out there.
Nobody out there.
Yeah,
so.
but you can hear from these speakers
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
or the speaker, wherever. Okay.
okay. All right, Jeff, go ahead.
One shaded lady on the side of 348, 83 snow queen hibiscus in different areas of the property. We have an ending balance for planting, $8,652.38. And we only had 0.1 inches of rain for the month.
And you all notice, along with Jeff's report, is a Brightview West Bay report for the fertilization.
For February and March.
Hmm?
For February and March.
February and March, yep.
Just so you're saying the rain we had on Monday is only 0.1 inch?
No, this is only for the month of
Oh, March.
March.
Oh, okay.
No, so far this month, I think we have like maybe 1.1 inch is the rain so far.
Okay. Any questions for Jeff, anybody? All right. Okay,
One quick question.
Sure.
And that is, it says that Brightview fertilizes, and
And I guess one of the questions I have, we have some really nice staghorn ferns in trees. And some of them are hanging unchanged. I mean, they're really nice size. Do they fertilize those? I'm guessing they don't.
They don't.
Is it possible for us to fertilize them?
Yeah, probably the easiest thing to do is put a couple banana
Banana
peels.
peels.
Yeah,
the
my next door neighbor has
potassium.
one, that's what he does.
These are liquid fertilizers?
Yeah, usually that works best for me anyway.
Some were,
Yeah, a lot of people just put banana peels in them because the potassium comes out.
Yeah,
of the banana
yeah,
makes them
I've heard of that, yeah.
go wild.
But,
As long as that doesn't attract the rats.
we certainly want to keep,
Yeah,
we want to keep them growing well. I mean, they're really fantastic plants.
I have a question too. So with your report, are all the things planted that are going to be planted, shrubs and flowers and all that?
just in the month of March. No, I have another list coming out for next month. In fact, today I'm going out to Mariposa to pick up 63 more hibiscus to be planted on the property.
And you're picking up her
Gardenia?
gardenia.
Yes.
what about our tree?
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
We're gonna talk about that.
Wait, then I have another question. Like where I live, oh boy, it's bad. Like around the sign, you know, all those little,
Impatiens.
yeah.
Yeah, they're starting to cook because of the,
Well, they
80,
don't get
90 day weather.
watered by any
Where are
sprinkler
they?
system. Pinehurst B.
They're
They're all
coming
laying
out.
in a lump.
You're talking about
Coming
the
out.
signs?
No,
Flower box
Beds.
sign.
no,
The flower box.
bed.
Yeah, but the ones that, we already addressed that, the ones that are not doing well, we're just pulling them out for the
No,
summer.
I got that.
Okay.
But why don't they get watered by any of the sprinkling systems? What's the point of buying them and putting them in for them to just like?
They
wither
should be
up
getting
and
water,
die?
right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't get any.
I'm checking the irrigation clocks I've already done pool 4, pool 5, a couple of smaller auxiliary clocks that we have. I found in the 800s, the one in the alleyway, due to a short or something, I lost everything, so I had to reprogram it.
How about?
So I'll have to go up and check yours to see if maybe that happened up there, because I know we had a power shortage in front due to FPL fixing a strap line, so they might have cut the power and it might have,
Yeah, because I see them laying
Discontinue
there, a whole
the,
bunch of dead bodies.
So, yeah,
yeah.
If you ever see something like that anytime, Jan, just give us a call or something.
Yeah, because
You'll see it
sprinkler
before we
problems
go.
all the time, yeah.
Well, and also I asked you about that one for in front of our house too, you know, where that sign, you put that post.
Mhm.
But we got a whole bunch, I don't think it's just weeds, it's just like a whole big dead area.
That's the area of the weeds that were killed by the weed and feed.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
but there's no water there, there's never any water there.
I'll check it.
Okay, maybe they're connected because they're close together. Thank you.
Peter, I drove around all the clusters in the last 2 days ago. And there are 8 of the beds that look beautiful, just beautiful.
Yep.
Full,
Yep.
lots of flowers. There are 18 beds that are terrible, just terrible. There's either all of them are dead or in the one in front of our cluster, 2 plants out of the bed are still alive.
Mine too.
But I asked, Wendy Barnhart lives in cluster P, and her bed is beautiful. And I said, Wendy, why is yours beautiful and the other 2 are dead? She says, I water it.
I knew that was coming.
I really think that we need to take a look at all the beds and the way they're getting watered, because I think there's 18 of them that aren't getting watered.
The patients almost need to be watered every day.
yeah, that's the problem.
And,
Especially in the soil
and
that's hot.
I actually have a thing here that are heat tolerant plants, and unfortunately impatiens aren't on the list. And
Probably.
so I'm going to pass this around,
They look.
but I do think that there are better plants that we could be planting in these beds that are better tolerant of heat. But you're right, even then, in the weather we've had, we've got to water, we've got to really water well. And so I'm not in favor of us clearing these beds for 6 months. I just don't think that's very good reflection on our community to have empty beds for 6 months. So I would like to see us be replanting these beds after we figure out why they're not getting water.
I have another idea too. When I walk around, I see some of the areas have like hoses behind. If there was a hose that could be close by, I mean, I could get other people in our cluster to water them, you know, we could take turns or something. But if the water supply doesn't do it with the sprinkler system, that lady's right, you gotta water them, somebody's gotta water them.
The begonias
If I may also, Jeff, and if this is true, please let me know, or if it isn't, I've got a wrong conception. But some of these flower beds are over regular turf. And you've got regular base under it and regular growing conditions. And I think in my looking at them, that seems to be the ones that are growing well because it may be rooted. Some of these flower beds are partially out even over asphalt.
Asphalt.
That's filled in with dirt, and the heat radiates up and just it kills them all. And so maybe one of the things we may have to do is think about repositioning some of them to get the better growth, because I've seen that happen.
I agree, and I think another thing that sometimes can happen is that if you have plants that keep dying in the same bed, you probably need to replace some of the soil. That soil becomes
Stagnant.
too many bad things are going on in the soil, and you have to put better soil in.
We did that in front of a few units. I think it was 812. We were just killing everything we put in there, and we actually took 4 or 5 wheelbarrows out of there and put new stuff in. It's just growing beautifully now.
Yeah,
So
that
that's a good
makes
point.
sense.
Okay, that, because it's only, oh, go ahead.
I'm talking about like crop rotation, and when you're taking it out of rotation completely, that's one thing. But some of these things I think maybe be too wet because maybe the way the sprinkler hits the sign and it falls back into it. And so then the soil might be coming kind of like mucky. And so I think each individual bed, you have to figure out, you know, what is its problem? Because it looks like you have 18 problems, but it might not be all 18 of the same.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I really do think that we want these beds to look nice. And I mean, they're a reflection on our community.
Oh, I agree. And on some of the beds, it only makes sense that, especially in this hot, what we've had here, is what a sprinkler is doing isn't what somebody would be doing with a pail or a hose. It's not it's not hitting into the soil. So
this one might be more of a perennial too. So that would be a longer term solution.
So what we're saying is like the beds that are doing fine now, let them, and then do something like this. And
See if we can figure out what's wrong with the ones that aren't.
What's wrong with them? People, yeah.
Maybe Mia Posa has some of these you might be able to pick up today just to put in a couple for.
And like John said, if we have to move some of the beds because they're not happening.
Yeah.
There's no.
Almost all our beds are in full sun.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
Almost all.
That's why
those get
the
kind of
list I
tall,
found
so you don't want
was
them
full
to
sun plants.
block the
Yeah.
shine.
That's what's frustrating, to see the ones that grow and to see the ones.
Because you can't blame it on the sun.
No.
Yeah. Yep.
So when you're talking to them, make sure that it's something that's only going to get to be
Yeah.
like
We don't
18
want something
inches
like
high
that.
or something
Yeah.
high tower.
One of the
The
plants
highest.
that's been doing really well out of the front is the begonias.
Begonias are great. Yeah.
They seem to,
Well, and the flowering vinca, not the vine, the red flowering vinca would probably handle it. And it would probably.
Yeah.
When I stick them in the ground, they usually last about 1.5 years, 2 years.
So that's good. We'll look at that. We'll do that. Yeah.
Good
Just
point.
don't like wet feet. The vincas, they don't like being overly watered.
Oh, well. Since
So-
we're in a drought, that sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
Since January, you've only had like 2.3 inches of rain.
Oh, yeah.
Since January, that's not.
You can
good.
tell which lakes are on a spring and which lakes aren't because they're the only ones with water.
All right.
And any other comments to that? Jeff?
Maybe that's one point.
All right, a couple of things I got to address that I shouldn't even have to be addressing at this point. It's one thing if somebody puts a pot out where they shouldn't put a pot out, and you go over and say you can't do that because of the residents in the common area. This is a known thing. But lately, couple of villages, Sherwood especially, where we put, poles to protect our sprinklers, cars cutting the corner too close, up their cars, and the residents are taking little rocks, big rocks, putting them all around there. That's a trip and fall hazard. And I wanted to have the meeting first, to run it by you people, because immediately I was gonna have the boys go up and get rid of the rocks, period. That can't be done. And the second thing is, in your village, the lady that took the palm trees, the state palm tree of Florida, and peeled them all, you know what I'm talking about?
The boots.
I didn't even go over there and talk to her because I was, I had to really bite my tongue. Looks horrible. Since when do people think they can do that?
Well, we asked Jeff about it. I
Yeah.
mean, we
Oh,
talked to Jeff.
they asked you?
Well, I told them they could clean out the bottom where the bromeliads were, because there was all bunch of stuff in there,
But not the trees,
not the tree.
not the trees. And actually, Jeff's got enough to do. Come to me or John. This is simple,
Well, we actually did talk to John too, so,
About that.
about cleaning out that area.
Oh, and again, we were talking about the basin, and we had Eddie
That
cut
was
the
fine,
base and
but
stuff
not
like
the
that.
trees,
Okay.
okay?
What did she do?
She took all the boots off the tree.
The state palm,
Those little
just
Well,
shear it right off.
boots, those little brown
Yeah.
stems that are not,
What you had to see though was
make
once,
it kind of look like a pineapple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
once everything was cleaned out around the bottom, part of the bottom of the tree was already, the boots were already mostly gone.
Uh-huh.
So you have no boots and then you have some boots.
No, the base really needed it. You're right. There's no.
It was so overgrown with vines
Yeah.
and,
But just so we get that point across,
okay.
okay? And what else, John?
Well, taking out of plants, I mean, we really appreciate the fact that people want to beautify the area. And this, the last thing we want to do is restrict that. Conversely, people may have different ideas of what to put out that may or may not be, it may impact the grass cutting, may impact the watering system, may do other things. We'd like to know before they do it. And most of the time, I think Peters and I and whoever else is in charge agree that the beautification is perfect. So we're just asking to let us know
Yeah,
before you do it.
let us know what you're gonna do, and once we know, fine. That's all I'm asking.
Actually, we haven't used this in a while, but on the website, there is a request to plant
Okay.
outside your courtyard fence area. And it has to be approved by this committee.
Right, because for a while now, we haven't had requests. For a long
Exactly.
time, we had
Okay.
5 or 6.
I know I did this
Yeah.
a number of years ago,
Yeah,
and I think it's something that maybe we should make sure that people understand. is
because for
there.
a while, we were getting requests almost every month, and you're going through them.
You
Yeah.
notice number 8 on the agenda is owner requests, and we haven't, I've left it on there for this point
Yeah,
to bring it up so we can talk about it. So that's good.
Is there something written about, you mentioned pots being outside and things like that. What, is there guidelines on that or is it?
Supposedly, they're not supposed to be out there at all because there's potential trip and fall hazards on every one of them. Anything outside the fence is common ground. And if you strictly look at the documents, that no one is allowed to put anything outside the fence without approval from either this committee or the board.
Okay.
How stringent you want to be.
but it's, how strict are we gonna be? Because if you take a look at HIJ, Springdale, they have a few pods out, and it's been a long time, and John and I have to figure out if this is good. But it looks nice, and it's well taken care of, and it's set back. So in some instances, it's okay. It's all right. In other instances, it isn't, like under the stairways and stuff like that, people from the second floor moving stuff that belongs to the first floor and so forth.
Hi, Tiffany. Tiffany Conklin has joined us.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, guys. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. And so it's, you know, it's something we look at, as long as people come first, talk to us. And it's either fine, that's okay, or,
I remember Paul had a big problem with this.
oh, absolutely. Oh, that was an ongoing battle, yeah, yeah.
He had a problem with lights.
And,
But it's-
my own feeling is, if you take a look at Springdale, I think it's pretty neat looking the way they've done things.
So do I.
And as long as they're keeping them off the sidewalk.
That's right. And we're not talking about windmills and flamingos and stuff like
Right,
that.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
So it does look good. And the whole comes down to the bottom line, just come and see us and you can straighten it out.
And we got giraffes too.
Hmm?
We have giraffes too.
Oh, yeah, we have a giraffe, yeah.
At least it's a plaster giraffe and not a real giraffe.
Well,
Cuts down on feeding.
Mr. O'Connor?
I don't know if this is relative, but, well, I came in because I had requested between, the common area between 732 and 734. All the mulch is all eroded and the plastic weed covering is above ground. And also there's a plastic pot, a big black plastic pot that this huge plant is growing out of. It must have been there for ages, but now it's very visible.
Is it front or rear?
What's that?
Is this the rear or the front?
It's in the front, right between my place and Mary and 732 and
All right.
734.
We'll take a
But
look
the
at it.
plastic, thank you.
We'll take a look.
Because we haven't mulched the front this year. That's one of the reasons it eroded, but we can do something there.
And I think the sprinklers are not working in that area
Okay.
also. I don't know if that has anything to
Sure.
do.
Well,
but-
we're checking them all.
So
Oh,
nobody,
good, okay.
basically, nobody knows how long the pot's been there or who,
It's probably years and years.
So
because
it's-
the
oh,
tree,
all right.
the trunk of the tree is like this, a big plant. It's like a huge plant, but it's as big as a tree. But it's growing. Apparently, it was a pot at one point in time.
sure, all right, we'll take a look
You
at that.
familiar with
It's
it?
unsightly.
I'm familiar with the area. I'm not familiar with the plant in the pot.
Maybe it's so big we don't realize there's a pot at the base.
Probably.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
It's
We'll
one of
check
the
it out.
large leaf, split leaf philodendrons.
Is that what it is?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that what it
It's
is?
huge and it's in a pot. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure that's the one, but I'm,
We'll look it up. Thanks.
okay, yeah, we'll take a look at this, sure. And, let's see. Tree issues. The thing I wanted to run by you especially is, we've talked to a few people in your cluster, and it's like mess as far as putting another palm in, like the one you have, or taking the one you have down now and putting in 2 fishtail palms, which the fishtail palms would be shorter and more full, and I think it would be,
Well,
Aesthetically-
it's more upright.
Yeah.
Usually,
see, in other words, you know where I'm talking about?
on
more
either side
On
of the
either side of the
mailbox.
mailboxes.
Yeah. That, I don't know, I just throwing this out and see what everybody thinks. The fishtail palms would be fuller, they don't drop anything, and I think it would be, make your whole front area stand out a little better.
but you think that's an appropriate place for a fishtail when it's so tight up against the building?
Or you have
No, I
at least,
think
you
it
have
would
at
be.
least 10, 12 feet out in front of your carport area to the asphalt where you could actually put it in there.
That's what we put where the banyans were, Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah.
In between N and O, yeah.
They look gorgeous.
You
I mean,
don't-
there's
no.
the one, I mean, those were planted in 2019,
2019, they're
Yeah.
massive,
40 feet high. They're beautiful.
but they're full too.
Yeah,
they're full.
They are.
Full.
And they don't drop, and so
It's a good looking palm.
it is a good, I love them, yeah.
I don't have a problem.
Existing palm can probably be relocated someplace, because palms normally don't have that.
This is a huge.
This
piece.
is about a 40-footer.
This is a big
Oh,
one.
okay.
The whole
This is
thing.
Well, I see them do them along the interstate.
They look
Well,
like-
that's true, but
like a
that's your
telephone.
tax money.
And that, I really don't think, the crew is great, but I don't think they could do
No,
it.
they're probably not.
Although we did get a couple of straps in that'll pick up 20,000 pounds.
So what do you think?
Well, I don't know who you talked to in the village, in our cluster rather. You know, we had kind of informal party there one night, and that's where I put it to everybody. It was like, what do you want? And I mean, it was unanimous. Everybody
All
came
right.
back and said they wanted a palm tree, and I took them pictures of the fishtail. I can only tell you what came out of that group. So that did not ask everybody, because not everybody was there, but
What cluster are you talking about?
Oakview V. We had the
1 to 724.
we had the palm tree last year that was struck by lightning and killed. There was another 40-footer that was a pair to the.
To give you an idea, Alan, you've got the mailbox here, and you had two very tall 40-foot canaries, weren't they?
Canaries palms,
Yeah, canary
yeah.
palms. And they matched, but this one got hit, came down, and so now you got an open space here. And
And there's
the only,
shrubs around the base.
yeah, and the only thought would be that it certainly could be matched. It'll make 10, 15 years before it matches.
Yeah.
But if we, you don't like to take any kind of tree out, but this would give us fullness in 2 years. It would be far and away, maybe more aesthetic in mind's eye, who knows?
I like them. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. We're not picking on you.
I think they're gorgeous.
Mhm.
I went and looked at the ones that are over, I guess that's Lakeside, behind Lakeside.
Yeah.
Right,
Inside out.
right.
Especially that one, it's got 6 or 8 clumps in it. It's huge now.
Yeah, and I think we planted a few in the little islands.
Yeah.
That are
We did,
in a
yeah.
cluster.
Yeah.
And they aren't as big, but they're nice tree for that.
That was done after that, so they'll be big. They'll be
Yeah.
that big. And you don't trim those, and they don't have the cost of the other trees, $18, $20 a tree. It is common area, so it would be the committee's purview, even though we want to try to match what the owners want.
I had mentioned that, I think, last month about taking out that one tree, and you said that was a no-no, that we
Well,
don't take out trees.
Without approval of the committee, because the committee's policy is not to remove live plants or trees
Okay.
unless there's a good reason for it. And this might be considered a good reason, maybe not.
Is it just not realistic to relocate the big one?
I don't know about cost, Jeff.
Good.
I mean,
Good grief, I don't,
Viability.
You'd have to have a company come in here and actually.
a
do
palm that
those-
big.
Yeah, a palm company come in and like scoop it
Spade.
out on the bottom, spade it out and pick it up. I couldn't imagine what the cost of that would be.
I can't imagine where we'd want to put it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's
So-
everybody's thoughts on this?
So I think
mean,
we're
it's- I'm
agreed
done.
that we want them to match.
This is what I'm talking, and we'll wait,
So
that's,
if it-
that's what we're getting at, where you're looking at the front of that, mailbox area. And, to mind's eye, you don't walk around like this, you see 2 like telephone poles. Or you have 2 fishtail palms that are really full, like, Chris was talking about. Aesthetically, whatever,
More
I'm not
ideal.
shooting you down.
No.
So what is it?
Does everyone know what we're talking about? Because otherwise, I'm sure you can probably throw a fishtail palm up there on the screen. We
Yeah,
got
I
these
think I can.
big screen
Sure.
capabilities now.
Is the plan at the base of the trees to remove all the remaining?
Where we put new shrubs, they're all pretty much
Yeah,
used up.
that would all
Yeah.
be part of the deal. Yep.
Looks like somebody ran over one of them here lately. That one
Well,
on the
probably
corner.
that's what,
And our poll, to give you an update on the poll that we put in the post.
Do we have a monthly report on that?
Yeah. It's been hit at least 3 times.
this is it. Honest to God?
Is it
Yeah.
scarred?
Yeah. When we were standing after cleaning out that one landscape island, a lady came in and she lives here in the village, in the complex someplace, because I recognized the car, but she came in and just clipped it. It didn't even stop. I don't even know if she hit it. I know she hit it. But
So his point where it's gonna get big.
See,
Well, there you go. up on the
Oh, no,
screen,
I've
too.
seen them.
you've seen them, yeah.
Yeah, this is just a small one, but it doesn't take them long to grow.
No, oh, no.
The only thing we might need to do, Jeff, is put some more reflectors on the post, because now it's been rotated.
How about some neon lights?
That's amazing how that,
And the one down in B, has that been hit yet? Or no?
No, it's doing pretty good,
Okay.
surprisingly. Got the big
Oh, there's
one.
one.
Yeah.
there's
There
a
you go,
fishtail
Gus.
palm. There's a fishtail palm, yep. I just think aesthetically, it'll be nicer looking, but it's up to you guys, everybody. Yep.
Well, if that's what the committee wants to do, and that's what everybody's in agreement to, I'll just go back and tell them that we got overruled. And, you know, I think this is gonna be a good solution too.
And just explain
I can
about
deal with them.
the plantings underneath it and everything, the whole.
Yep.
The whole
If
thing.
you have all of that in by the time everybody gets back in the fall, I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that
yeah.
it would be much better.
Yeah.
Have some growth going.
Yeah,
When they see the whole thing done, they're like, yeah, that looks good.
yeah, I think so.
You know?
Also move.
Hmm?
Also move.
I have
That
one
we've got
question
2 fishtails.
Okay,
about that. Is there, we talked about room, is there going to be root room in that amount of space?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Jeff,
Okay.
yeah.
So, I mean, those suckers get big, and do they spread out any?
If you look at the base of that,
Yeah,
most of that's top growth, not bottom growth.
okay.
That thing that's probably 15 years old, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
So is the fishtail palm, the root system about like a regular palm? I mean,
Yeah,
there's-
they grow down, not out.
they don't
Okay.
get really,
Just what was
That's
there
what I was
before.
wondering. 'cause
Yeah,
it just-
just what was there before.
Okay, 2 fishtail toms and remove the one canary.
Okay,
That is the motion. Whether, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
all in favor?
Uh,
Okay. Like you said, we'll have it done before they come in, and when they come back, wow, that looks nice. Oh,
I'm not gonna tell them till then.
Surprise. You don't think anyone looks at the notes, huh?
You could tell while they're gone, the lightning got the other one.
Yeah. Jeff, you're gonna need a semi to go out there and pick all the stuff up.
For that, yes. I don't think I can fit that in the back of my truck.
no, the trimming you had for the trees.
Not in one trip.
I don't
The
like
trimming
that,
down
no.
on the trees.
Yeah,
It's a big tree.
I put that down because we always just announce the fact that we're gonna do some, he's asking about the next order of the agenda, and it's about trimming. We always basically announce at this meeting that in July that we'll be doing palm trees, and we'll be doing some of the carrot woods. And in some cases, we have been eliminating carrot woods. We usually take 3 or 4 out a year.
Yeah.
So as part of this, there'll be trimming when brown comes out in July. And there'll be probably at least one major, it's one right out here. Yeah, I can't think of the name of it right now.
Yeah, Norfolk Island. pine.
Norfolk Island pine. It's dead right here. It's a tall one. It's about 50 feet.
50, 60 feet tall.
50, 60 feet tall. That'll have to come out. And there'll be some more dead growth trimming in some of the old oaks that are impacting that possibly things that branches can get away. So just letting us know, everybody, what we're doing where we can.
There's also, I don't know whether you want to get rid of it or not. I think you would. There's the dead palm
Yeah.
that got hit when
Across from Tammy.
pool at 5 is still there.
There's not only there's probably 4 more palms that have in very,
Yeah.
very critical condition. And part of it's wind damaged hearts and things like that. It's funny that Tammy was talking to me, and she said that she went, Tammy Auburn, she went to a seminar where they had
Arborist.
arborist up from Fort Myers about trimming palms, and it was she said that down there they are trimming more than less. And I said, well, possibly could be the reason for that, because we're looking at all the information here. And they said that they found that sometimes when there's more palm fronds left on the tree, it's more of a chance for heat and virus attacking. So there you
Because
have
it's
on
been
two sides
weakened?
of the word, because, well, not because it's, it just has more surrounding it. I mean, she just brought that up to me. I'm just throwing it out to the committee.
I know a couple ones that are like behind, beside 551. That was a borer beetle that got into the heart of the palm. That's what killed it.
Yeah. Well, good, then it's not
To
a fire.
point out that boring beetles respond to hormonal levels that the trees let out. And if it's a healthy tree, it has a much less chance of boring beetles ever hitting it, because it's like blood in the water. When they're suffering and struggling, the beetles can smell it and it's easy prey. So if we keep our trees with more leaves and let them be healthier and not struggle as much, we have less chance of things like boring beetles even attacking them.
Okay. All right, thanks.
I actually would like to suggest that we inventory the palms and tell Brown, there's a lot of palms that we don't need to trim at all. A lot of the sable palms, the cabbage palms, they're fine the way they are. What they were doing last year was they were looking at anything that was hanging below 9 to 3. But the base of the frond was still in that 9 to 3 area. And they were trimming those. And I don't think they need to do that. I think we need to tell them which ones we want trimmed. I think we can save a lot of money. I think we can save $10,000 or more if we don't let them trim all the staples.
What do you think?
It's up to the committee.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, what the philosophy is.
It's so ambivalent because you have people on one side saying this and others saying, which is which, but
All
I guess,
the things that we have presented,
so 9 to
Tiffany and I,
Yeah.
were mostly provided by the Florida Extension people. And they're all in agreement that you don't want to trim too much.
So 9 to 3, okay.
Yeah, but do it.
What are you talking about?
Don't do it where the frond hangs down. Because the base of the frond is still in that 9 to 3. So don't trim that frond. It looks like, okay, you're not doing 9 to 3, but you really are. You're not cutting that frond because its base is still in that 9 to 3 area.
I think he's saying that
stem is
instead of looking at the leaf itself,
Yeah,
to look at the blade,
Where it's attached
the
to the
blade
trunk.
would be the,
Right. Don't look at where it hangs down. Look at where the base of it is.
I have to bring it in just for the discussion, though. We are getting many more calls about the aesthetic look.
I knew that.
I mean, this is awful close to my building, or this is, awful close to, I'm just reporting it.
Yeah,
That's all,
no, I understand that.
It's the philosophy.
John and I ride the property, or I ride with him, probably 3 days a week. And starting last fall, as soon as the people were coming back from north, they were already complaining about dead prongs hanging down. So, I've got
I have two things to say when Steve is done.
place that look like hell, and I gotta look right out my living room window at them.
What were you gonna say, Tiffany?
I was just going to say two things. One, I have had lots of reports from people that I've talked to that love that we're not butchering the trees anymore. They think they look so much more luscious and green and beautiful with the fronds on it. And they thought that it looked ridiculous before. So just presenting the opposite side of the coin here, that some other people are very pleased. And I can say at least a dozen people that I've talked to just in the past few months have commented on it. So that's something. But then also too, I want to say that because we were doing such a severe trimming prior, the trees were very weak. And so now that they're starting to fill back in, the canopies are loose still because they're still regrowing their root systems. They're still growing these fuller canopies, and it's not supporting itself very well because it's still trying to, have enough energy and become strong again. And so some of these fronds are drooping more than what it would if we hadn't overcut them for so And in all of the research that I've done, it takes about 2 years for a palm to recover from that kind of trimming. So we're halfway to the point where, you know, next year, the palm canopies will be denser. It'll hold its fronds like much more upright, and they won't kind of droop as much. So that's something to look forward to, that we can assure people that, you know, that they're on their way to recovery, and hopefully next year they'll really look a lot more like a healthy tree than a suffering tree.
Chris.
I agree, and one of the things I think with what you said, Steve, is that may be some of the other palms, the royals and the queens. They're the ones that have fronds that fall. The sables, fronds don't fall. They just
hang down and
yeah,
look like hell.
yeah, but they don't fall. And so the ones that are hanging down and look like they're dangerous are the ones that should be trimmed. Those are the royals and the queens.
And those are
Queens,
dead fronds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those can hurt somebody. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
and
big
also-
and heavy.
And also probably you can put into the mix too, also trees that are close to somebody's walls or whatever, and if they're hanging down inside, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's true. But when I did an inventory in Lakeside, we had, I think, 136 palms, and more than 100 of them were the sable palms, were the ones that really don't need a whole lot of trimming at all. And I think that's what we can do to save some money, is not have many of the sables trimmed. The queens and the royals, they need to be trimmed. The pineapples,
Iffy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think they don't usually lose their fronds dramatically like the royals do. But I think we just need to be more selective with the company.
Well, if we're more
I think
selective.
that's a great idea.
What?
Go ahead, Tiff.
There's two of you.
What, Tiffany?
Oh, I just said, I think that's a great idea.
Okay. What were you gonna say?
If we're more selective and we're trimming less trees, saving some money, does it make it possible then that we could have them in more often instead of whatever we're doing now? I don't know what the schedule is now, but and for the ones that do need to be trimmed, they can be kept trim and looking nice throughout the whole year instead of waiting 6 months or whatever it is.
Once a year now.
Is it once a year? Maybe it's possible to do it twice a year and be more selective and spend the same amount.
In other words, the total cost split at 50-50 or something like that?
Something. I mean, just an idea then where people have palms that get poorly looking, they can be trimmed
I don't
off.
see that being a bad
If
idea.
if that would be a consideration, if John will, as far as price goes.
Yeah.
See what the story
Well,
is.
and then John's probably already negotiated whatever this next trim is already.
Right?
Well, we've already confirmed that he's not going to raise the price
Okay.
for the 4th year in a row.
So I don't know whether or not adding a palm tree and a couple more carrot woods to the mix versus, I mean, because you've already got, it may not be saving money so much since you've already got a negotiated price. It might just be adjusting where it can go.
Well, the good news about Brown is the fact that they're at least $12 on our last bid, lower than anybody else per tree. Now, the fact is, we just want to trim what the trees that we want to trim. If that's the angle we're going. I mean,
You had them in to take a tree down there in Lakeside. Any idea what that cost?
which one? I mean, we took several down.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
the one I was thinking of was
By
in
the
the
pool.
pool there.
Yeah, no, we actually had almost $4,900 worth of removals
Uh-huh,
because there were several deads.
uh-huh.
Yeah. So
So the thing we're looking at, another, you know, bottom line, the thing we're looking at is, depending on price, having Brown once a year at X amount of dollars, or say twice a year at X amount, see which is,
Yeah.
We'll see. All right?
sounds
So the
good.
sable you're talking about, is that like the palmetto palm? Does it look, it has like,
It's actually, it's the one that we see most of. I
yeah,
mean, if you go down along a sidewalk almost all the trees are gonna be the sable palms.
It's like the
Yeah.
palms we use for Palm Sunday.
I think so.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they're not a palmetto palm. Those
No.
are the little short.
Those
No,
are
no,
the
no, I'm
small
not talking
ones,
about
yeah,
that, no.
yeah.
Let me see if I can.
It's a
show
cabbage
you one
palm,
here.
same thing.
It's,
Yeah.
it's the
that's-
state tree, the cabbage palm,
Yes,
sable
yes.
palm. Yeah.
Same tree.
Can I ask a question about the
State
carrot?
tree, state tree of Florida.
I know we regularly trim carrot woods, and the reason I'm asking, we have two in our front right across from where we're talking about planting the palm trees. That, I mean, I'd hate to see those go anytime soon.
No. We trim them every other year, okay? So they're probably gonna get trimmed this year, because I don't think we trimmed them last
I
year.
think we did.
Or if they've trimmed them last year, you're gonna have them for another year, because we just do it every other year. That's number one. Number two, we won't take it out necessarily. Most of the people wanted them out because of the droppings and things like that. So if you all don't want them out, we're not taking them out.
I would think not until we get our other stuff
Right.
in and established.
Yeah.
Oh, they wouldn't be coming out that quick.
And then there's also, Jeff, that
Yeah, that's what I thought, Chris.
Yeah,
Yes,
you're
that's
right.
what I
Sable
envisioned.
palmetto
Yeah,
is actually the real description of them.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that we have a lot of. And you can see on this, I can bring this up. You see some dead fronds on these, but I don't see hardly any dead fronds on ours. It's pretty
not like
rare.
that.
I see some that are sort of in the back areas that don't get trimmed, and there's some dead fronds on those. But the ones out along the sidewalks and the ones more visible, there's no dead fronds on them.
Yeah, they usually don't die until they're at like, hands on a clock, 5 and 7.
Yeah.
the two carrot woods that are in our front, there's some other plant growing up with them. I don't know what it is.
You sure a carrot wood?
It's a bromeliad, or it might be even a golden pothos
You sure a
vine.
carrot wood?
It's tall. It's
Sure.
growing up almost about where the leaves start on the carrot wood.
I'd have to go look at it.
Carrots are
I
illegal
can't
to
think
plant
of it
now.
Off the top of my head.
Carrot woods are
Yeah,
illegal
yeah,
to plant.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So those carrot woods, I've never seen a huge dropping problem.
Yeah.
Oh.
my
Is
God.
it just, is it
Yeah,
happen
maybe
later?
it's maybe your trees don't have them, but they drop the little yellow ball. You
Oh,
name
if
it.
If you don't.
And then
trim
they
them- If you
recede.
trim
Yeah.
them, it
Okay.
takes 2 to 3 years before them to start burying out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
and that's
boy.
why we're not seeing it.
Yeah,
I was
but
gonna say, I don't
we've
see
probably
that.
taken out 50 of them.
Oh,
These are
Yeah.
big
Oh, yeah.
ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're no longer a
Oh,
recommended tree for Florida.
No.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, this was
Incredibly
another.
invasive.
Also, over at pool 7, there's a dead Norfolk pine.
Yeah.
And then pool 6, there's a dead palm tree. It's just a stick.
Yeah, that was when we were gonna carve into a tiki, right?
Oh, really? It's been dead for some time. You can't see that it's dead because the top of it's up inside another tree, but if you look close, it has no top on it. There's no fronds.
Pool
nothing.
6.
Pool
Yeah.
Pool
six.
6.
Yeah, it's back by
Okay.
the backside.
By the pump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pump house.
Okay.
There's a carrot wood.
Yeah, they have all these little,
Oh,
Things
really?
that-
Oh, the berries. The
Berries.
berries. And you
Groups of
step on
berries.
them and track them and then.
well, they have some thorny stuff on, around the berry.
Yep.
You know, the thing about it is, I know we took one down behind Palm Tree a while back because it was blocking the upstairs people's view. The downstairs people were not happy because it was shade.
Shaded.
Yeah, that
So-
was
So
a,
you gotta kind of balance the fact that these are pretty effective shade trees.
They're very effective shade trees and they grow like 7 foot a year. I mean, it's amazing what they grow.
and in that case, it was the people upstairs were gone and the other people were here in the summer.
Yeah.
So the people upstairs didn't,
Yeah.
like, let's see an old story, you bought the place, the tree was there. You bought your house, that the airport was here. Yeah.
And 43rd Street.
And 43rd Street, yeah.
We've got the same problem in our cluster where there's 2 chaflairs right together there in front of and it's that one unit that's gonna be vacant soon.
19.
My parents had to have a chefflera removed because the root system had pulled the bedroom wall away from the building.
Very invasive.
So
Yeah.
at one point I came to visit them and there was no wall in the bedroom.
Boy, I know this, they do that.
So,
Listen, I would be perfectly fine, and I think most of the people in our cluster would be if they came in and took them down under that, they were gonna be structural problem.
I'm
'Cause they're a
surprised they
mess.
haven't already.
You're talking about the regular with the big old leaves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The dwarf one is no
Yeah.
problem, but
No,
the,
the big ones.
the big one.
You know where they are, Jeff?
Oh, yeah, 719 in the front.
There's a mess there constantly. I mean, you could,
And they dump trees, they dump a lot. And
Oh, they are
They were
messy,
put in
yeah.
originally because it's very fast growing
It's
and
typical.
because the developer puts them in.
Developer put them and the,
Carrot.
carrot was in, because they grow quick, look cute, then they left, see you later. Yeah.
If I bore anybody with the story, but this truly happened, my first home here had a basement. And I had cheffeleers, and I wouldn't go down to the basement very regularly, but my pool equipment happened to be in the basement, so I needed to do something. Then I went down there, and I jumped out because there was about a 12-foot snake. Scared the daylights out of me. So finally, when I got enough guts to, a hatchet to go back down there, it was a cheffalera root that came through the CBS block and
Oh my
just
God.
curled itself up. Looked just like a snake in the dark.
Well, then the hatchet was more
Yes,
appropriate.
yes, it was, and I used it too. So that's how invasive it is. And they go after water lines too, big time.
Which is another point when residents want to plant something, they may not be from Florida and they may not know these horror stories. So it's good to bring it up so we can at least Google it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's so much different down here, yeah. Okay. Any other committee comments?
Yeah, I have a comment on the area behind 120, 121, and 122 has been cleaned out on the 43rd Street side. And now the back of those units are really open almost to the street. I thought we ought to think about putting some plants in there to block the sound and the view.
Well, okay.
Alan, he's got a very good idea, but I think Steve and I and Pete and I have both gone up there and looked, and we're planning to put some of the, No. the palm trees that like we did
Eureka's.
behind 126 Eureka's.
Eureka Pound.
Yeah, that'll fill in really nice. It's what we put behind O'Dowd's unit, and it's what we put behind 126 there that,
The Eureka
but they
Pound,
did,
yeah,
they had to clear it out. What happened was
Where
a
the
double
bridge is
witching.
there,
Not only did the county come in and
Oh,
clean
yeah,
out the
yeah.
homes,
right
but
on
the
boulevard,
FPNL
in the
came
back
in
of that.
and cleaned everything on
Yeah,
this side at the
those
same
go
time,
in.
But you
Like
got a
that,
good point.
Natural wall. Yep.
is that the bamboo family?
Mhm.
No, it's a
It's
palm.
no, it's
Huh.
palm.
Oh,
But they grow and it's a natural wall. Yep.
But they
Yeah, I
all,
was thinking of that when you told me about it, that's a perfect thing to put back there. They
Yeah.
grow fast, they fill in.
Yep.
They'll block some of the noise.
You see them if you go out Spring Lakes way,
Yeah.
out to 34.
Perfect
Yep.
thing to put in there.
yeah, we
In
put
fact,
those along
years-
206, that's right.
In fact, years ago, a guy that lived over there asked me what they should do with that berm. And I said, get a Eureka Pound. And bingo.
I
Yep.
remember you saying that.
Yep.
If any of you have ever seen a bottle palm, there's only one I know of in the whole property.
Mhm.
It's behind Liz Apollon's place. And it's beautiful. It's a really cool palm.
it's beautiful.
Are they more expensive than other just?
Probably expensive.
I have no idea.
I don't know
I
price.
know when we were out at Mariposa one time, you and I and a couple other people, John, we looked at some of those unusual palms and they weren't terribly expensive.
We've
Yeah.
got more of those on site, don't we, Jeff? Those bottle
Oh,
palms? Not short ones like that. Some of them are taller.
Oh, this one's, the one that we have
Not like
at Liz's place there is probably 20, 25 feet.
There's one back at the corner of Woodlawn and Wildwood Springs Drive right there at the end at the T,
Okay.
isn't there? I think there's one back there.
I think that's appropriate for someplace that gets a lot of visual activity.
Exactly. Unfortunately, the
Yeah.
more we have it.
And so you got to
the
figure
one
out where that,
behind Liz's
where
isn't
that
gonna get a
is,
lot of views.
because,
No.
That's to me what we should be looking at, is finding places where I keep thinking of Palm Tree, where we had the beautiful pineapple palm in front of the mailboxes
yeah,
there.
Palm Tree's not too excited to have a magnolia there. They want it to be a palm
Yeah,
tree.
well, that's right. That's your cluster.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to focus some really neat looking stuff in places like that. I mean, and spend a little extra money and buy a nice tree.
We have a spot that I haven't talked to anybody about yet, but it's right next to Unit 701. It's open there in the front. That's just a grassy area with nothing in it. And we're kind of really exposed to the traffic there on Oakview Drive. I'd like at some point, as soon as we get through with some of the other stuff we've been working on, to, come up with an idea and a plan for that and figure out how we get it done. But there's a great opportunity for a real signature palm to be sitting there, or
All right.
a signature tree, or anything. We're just,
I only know, I think a couple of these travelers ponds. I know one of them is in the courtyard
Still,
of a guy that's right near your
Like-
Stewart,
yes,
probably.
yes. He's got
Lakeside.
a traveler's
Yeah,
palm
Stewart
in
Spencer.
there.
in his back courtyard.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you don't see too much of it because.
No.
yeah, but they're neat featured type of tree too.
What's the palm that's got the silvery green leaves?
This one. the
I think it was
silver
Bismarck.
Yes,
yeah.
those are pretty too.
Yeah.
Those two.
You talk about expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, but we can buy small, they grow.
Well, that's true, true, but the big ones are really
Those
expensive.
they're gorgeous.
I remember they have teeth on them.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices. These ponytails are kind of neat. And this is similar to a fishtail. It's a foxtail.
Foxtail, yeah.
Neat, but they have more base.
Yeah,
That's good. We'll look into that, Chris.
great.
Okay.
Well, as we're taking out carrot woods, are we putting something in?
Some we have, yes. Most of the time we try to place something, even if it's not in the same place. 'Cause
Well,
sometimes
because-
people just don't want trees.
We've put in a lot of shady ladies and they look nice, but I don't want to get too redundant where we only have shady ladies and oak trees and, 5 different kinds of palms. So
What would you suggest?
I don't know. I think we need some thinking on it. And if he's out at Mariposa, he can bring us some
Well,
information
At
back.
that time, Chris and I went out with whoever it was at that time. They've got a tree farm out there that has everything you can think of.
Yeah, I was trying to Google, but I'm low on data and it won't connect to the Wi-Fi, so.
Well, and there's actually a place on our website that we have, where we show a lot of the flowering trees.
Good.
We put a
there's
few
lot
of those,
choices there.
we put 3 or 4 of those yellow ones in with
Yeah, the cassius,
cassius.
they're top heavy. They're
Yeah,
the
It's
roots
hard to
are
get them
actually-
started, but once you do, they're really beautiful. But you're right, you could get a chance to see the same thing everywhere.
Yeah.
Those are also really messy. My neighbors that lost their caspias are very happy that the hurricane took them.
Yeah.
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 But, we have a lot of open areas. If you put something messy like that in an open area, it's not so bad as, having all that flowers, and then I'm gonna call them Band-Aids. There were seed pods that look like they were made by Band-Aid.
And we
Same
put
thing.
we put
courtyard.
magnolias in also.
Yeah,
Is that
Yeah,
the
my
same thing?
wonderful magnolia has like 3 flowers on it.
I think it's the dry weather.
I've seen some around town, but this one is very dense and kind of more upright. So I think it's part of the variety.
Yeah, I was told that there are different varieties, the smaller,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so everybody saw these,
Mhm.
so we'll try these.
I
Is
think
that
there's some
good
good
for
choices
everybody?
there.
Well, not all of them.
No, we'll try.
Because like the Cosmos, that's gonna be really tall and ferny looking leaves, but I
No,
think it's
this
gonna.
one I was talking
Oh,
about.
that one,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll
Okay.
try that
Doing the
first,
whole thing.
okay? All right. Owner's comments.
Hi, Peter. Roger Schultz, 151 Pinehurst.
Yeah, Roger.
Looking at the minutes from last month's meeting, and one of the comments that you made in your comments were that holes in various hedge lines would be filled in with plants. Last summer, while I was away in June and July, the 4-foot hedge that was dead underneath the stairs was removed. It's never been replaced. All the other stairways have it's roughly 4 feet high underneath the stairways.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mine's gone. It was never put back.
Okay,
And I've asked a couple times that maybe I haven't made the request directly to you
all right.
or to the committee.
So just
So,
synonymous with the other ones?
yeah,
We
Yeah.
put in several, so there's no reason why we shouldn't put
Yeah,
yours.
some-
Sure,
Yeah.
that was
that's
never,
okay.
never put back.
All right.
They were cut down. And the bases were never even removed, but
Wow,
they all died.
yeah.
So I pulled them out because they were all dead, but there's one little piece that's about this big
Okay,
on the end. It's got the low hedge all around the sidewalk, and then it had the 4, and you can look at all the other 2-story sections in
Hmm.
there. They all have, it's roughly 4 feet high across there, and
All
that
right.
piece was never replaced.
we'll replace it.
Now, the builder put in privet. And earlier I was talking about how I wasn't too fond of it, but there's things like Ixora that you can get that only grow to be like 3 foot high or only grow to be, 2 foot high or 4 foot high. And then there's also ones that get to be 8 foot high. So I think it would pick out something that would also flower, and they come in normally orange and yellow.
Oh, it's a common area, so it's,
It'd
We
be-
want to probably match
I
what's the other,
just-
Wanted to put
what's
back
contiguous to
what
it,
was
you know,
there.
To me, privet's kind of right up there with carrotwood though.
really.
Yeah.
Because you're kind
Let's take it.
it's one of those things that you're pruning all
Probably
the time.
ligustrum.
Hmm?
It's probably a ligustrum. She's a ligustrum reviver, and that's pretty
Yeah.
much prevalent in.
Well, couldn't we put in like snow queens? That they're gonna grow a little bit more, but I mean, they were fast growing, but look what happened in Woodlawn. I mean, it changed the whole personality there. It looked nice and it had,
Yeah, and the little piece that's there isn't all that healthy either, so maybe that needs to come out, that whole section.
we'll look at it.
Let's put something in that'll be the same as the other, same size.
Make a note and go take a look at it.
All right. Any other owner comments? Yes.
Any consideration given to reducing or changing the fertilizer for the grass? I brought up 2 meetings ago
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of articles suggest that too much fertilization ends up going into the waterways and feeds our red tide. So can we consider reducing it or changing it or both? I mean, the grass looks nice. I can't complain about that. But if there was some type of a natural fertilizer that you could do less of, and maybe the grass wouldn't grow as much, it'd be easier to cut and less would go.
I know that you and Bob Coella brought that subject up also at the same time, and both of you asked me to contact formerly West Bay, it's Brightway now. And some of the fertilization or fertilizer that Bob reported that he thought was being applied really isn't anymore. And they told me that it was old forms, and we're getting new forms now with the type of materials they're using, and it's supposed to be much more environmental friendly. So let's check on that, because I haven't seen it. But they're sending electronic reports now instead of these handwritten things that they've been sending for 10 years. So
Oh,
he
great.
said the materials are really different. So
Great.
could be very positive.
Okay, yeah. All right. Anybody else?
One quick thing, are we, any plans to redo some of the driveways with the stone and
Oh,
shell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the
Yeah.
budget for this year.
Yeah, we're gonna do them.
We got the
yeah.
mulch behind us. Now we gotta catch up. And then I thought, once we caught up with the trimming,
Then
we
we'll have
would do
that.
that.
Right,
What are we gonna do?
Shell the roads,
Shell the roads.
any shell road, like we have a major road that goes from the Wildwood Springs Boulevard to Pool 4.
Like that?
That's green rock. I mean, it's white
Oh, it
rock.
goes out
Okay.
behind
And
the
then-
fence.
Yeah,
The path.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, not the road.
in back of
Not the
certain,
roads themselves.
in back of certain clusters where people walk to the pool and stuff.
I
Yep.
agree.
There's about 4 areas.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's in the budget.
That's in the budget already. All right, anything else? Okay, schedule our next meeting.
Well, that would be the third Thursday in May.
Mhm.
The 18th.
18th?
Mhm.
All right.
You'll be gone?
No, that's the day before I leave.
Ah, okay, good. All right,
Good
perfect.
planning.
Good planning.
What's the date on that again?
18th of May.
May.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Good meeting.
I've got mine.
Thank you, Tiffany. Take care. Are you
Thank
here?
you.
Are you here or gone?
Next Wednesday?
I'm just in Atlanta for the week. I'll be back on Sunday. So I'll see
Oh.
you soon.
Okay, take care.
All right.
All right.